Liebe Leute, wir haben uns entschieden, wer die Autobahn bauen soll. Und zwar Taurus, eine Privatfirma mit neuester Technologie, die mit dem festgeschriebenen Budget und unter Berücksichtigung des Arbeitsrechts diese Autobahn bauen soll. Das Problem ist, das erste große Projekt von denen. Kann sein, dass das nach hinten losgeht. Konnte mich fast nicht entscheiden zwischen denen und dem Staatsunternehmen. Mal sehen, was die Nachrichten dazu schreiben. Construction begins. Taurus Holding has been awarded a 2-year contract for an extensive infrastructure project, subsequent design and construction work as part of the H3 highway expansion project in Sordland. In addition to the geotechnical ground investigation, Taurus will provide the design of all civil structures, including ground retaining walls and earthworks for the highway. Taurus said it could build the line much stronger than planned and at a much lower cost, according to a letter seen by The Economist. But the USP Member of Parliament Alban Cleven had warned letting Taurus build H3 would be extremely questionable. Alban. Der hatte doch schon mal irgendwas gegen uns gemacht. War das der das Parteibudget-Dingens ändern wollte? Ich glaube. Unklar. The H3 project involves the widening of hundreds of kilometers of existing motorway between Lakehaven and Avery, including an open tunnel nearly 3 kilometers long. An open tunnel? The highway will pass from Langkirk and Avery and later will be expanded to the Agnolian capital Stahlport. Was ist denn ein offener Tunnel? Jetzt sag nicht, die bauen da irgendwie so ein Ding, das dann hinterher absäuft oder so. Risky Highway Project. The government has announced a new mega infrastructure project to help alleviate the symptoms of the recession. When the Minister of Economy announced the launch of one of the most contested construction projects in Sordland, a new highway from Lakehaven to the Agnolian capital Stahlport, he said this project will cross the poorest areas of Sordland, developing the region, improving foreign trade, and increasing access to employment. The contract for the project was given to an inexperienced company named Taurus Holding with the decision of the President. Mega projects such as the construction of ports, transport lines, including railways and motorways, and power plants typically cost billions of Ren. They are difficult to manage due to the scale, high levels of complexity, and substantial impact on communities, the environment, and state governments. The decision of such a vital project to be given to a company like Taurus should not have been taken so easily, as they lack the large-scale experience and the organizational capacity to complete such a big task. England has long been neglected as a region and was in need of serious investments in its infrastructure. While this is positive news, it is doubtful that this project was worth the money and time that it will consume. Ja, lassen wir uns überraschen. Lassen wir uns überraschen. Konrad. Das Treffen mit Marcel Coronti, der Medienmensch. We headed to the meeting location set by Marcel Coronti. The motorcade was made up... Was ist denn da los in meiner Nase? Muss gleich niesen. The motorcade was made up of the most confidential and trustworthy team. After a few hours of driving along River Eskel, we took a turn before entering Conrad. The darkness started setting in as we drove up to a hill. Where are we? Search. We are nearing the HOS Country Club, Mr. President. We'll be there shortly. We arrived and the big iron gates of the country club opened. It was huge and outright extravagant. The main building, inspired by lesbian architecture, was lit from all sides. It was rather chilly. I was approached by Peter Vecton and Lucien Galait. I hope the journey was comfortable. Ich denke an unsere Nation natürlich. We entered the main building. After opening the marble-engraved wooden door, we were greeted by two tall women. The receptionist led us to the meeting room upstairs. Marcel was standing by the window looking outside at the beautiful complex. He turned around to have a quick look at us. He was a real handsome man with well-groomed hair. He walked towards me with his hand reached out for a handshake. Yeah, I shook his hand. He had a firm grip. It is such a pleasure to meet you in person, Mr. Coronti. I appreciate your efforts to reach out for a mutually beneficial friendship. Thanks for hosting us. I admired your father very much. May he rest in peace. Welcome. Your kind words have touched me, Vice President. He was indeed a great man. Oh. Ja, ich habe mich für Taurus entschieden, weil die das für den geplanten Betrag machen. Innerhalb, was war es jetzt, 2 Jahren? Innerhalb von 2 Jahren. Weil sie das Arbeitsrecht berücksichtigen und alle Mitarbeiter in der Gewerkschaft sind. Das Problem ist, dass sie halt bisher kaum Großprojekte bearbeitet haben. Wir werden mal sehen, ob das klappt. Bitte akzeptieren Sie. Ja, sollen wir das machen? Wir sind so traurig. He would have been very happy to hear this from you, Mr. President. It's time to look forward. Let's talk about our bright future. Setzen wir uns. Marcel gently pointed at the seats. We sat down around a gigantic table. Before speaking, he knocked on wood. The past months have been tumultuous, to say the least. I'm glad you and your family were unharmed at the shooting. The whole incident must have been a shock for the kids. They aren't used to what we lived through back in the late 20s. I still remember when my father took us out of the country when it became too dangerous in Conrad. They were startled, but the important thing is they are safe and sound. Of course, that is all that matters. No family should suffer from tragedy ever again. We had enough of that. Well, I'm known to be a straightforward person, so let me get to the point without wasting your valuable time. It was during the Alfonso campaign when I was struck by what you have done within the party. Marcel started to look at one of the paintings at the wall. Gucken wir ihn mal an. Marcel pointed his finger at me. You said we will transform this nation, Mr. Rayne. My conglomerate has a way of doing things has a way of doing things and I don't want them to change. So I want to cooperate with you. My conglomerate has a way of doing things and I don't want them to change. Ja, er will Kohle machen. Keep going ist mal das Neutralste. You might have the people's support now, Mr. President. What happens when you make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. What is that supposed to mean? Let's see his point, Vice President. Being a president in this country means having many enemies. Enemies that would resort to anything to bring you down. Let's say these enemies caused a scandal or leaked sensitive information from the administration. These would be destructive when they were released. If they were released. Also er droht uns halt, ne? Er tut so auf ganz freundlich und nett und sagt aber, ich habe hier das Medienimperium, ich will nicht, dass sich für mich irgendwas ändert und wenn doch, dann starte ich eine Kampagne gegen die Regierung. Soll er mal weiter erzählen. Assume that the articles would actually protect your integrity no matter what. Try to imagine how up to 5 million people I reach will not lose faith in you. Aber du bist nicht einfach nur nett, oder? Was willst du im Gegenzug? Das ist schon wieder so ein Bestechungszeug hier. Ist nicht einfach nur nett. I want two things, Mr. President. Number one is a guarantee from you that the Rayne administration won't meddle in HOS affairs no matter what happens. Number two is a simple gentleman's favor for the future. Let me prove my service to you first, and I'm sure you won't disapprove when the time comes. Ein Blankoscheck will er quasi. Irgendein Versprechen, das er irgendwann einlöst. Tja, ich würde mal sagen, insbesondere mit Punkt 2 ist das zu riskant. Und das widerspricht auch der Idee sozusagen, ne? Der Gewaltenteilung hätte ich fast gesagt, wenn man jetzt die Medien als vierte Gewalt ansehen will. Genau, bisher haben wir eine ähnliche Linie gefahren, sehe ich auch so. Das ist zu riskant. Great risk means great reward. This mutually beneficial cooperation will help you greatly. I can guarantee that you will see its benefits sooner than later. We can make history together. If we dare challenge the odds. I have to reject. Ja, so ist es halt. Such a shame, Mr. President, and here I thought we were going to be good friends. It's a shame, really. I regret coming here to see you. Goodbye. We left the complex and entered the car. I thought that would have ended better. He pushed it too far. The threats were unacceptable. Da stimmt er uns sogar zu. Lucian. Spannend, hätte ich nicht gedacht. Ja, jetzt haben wir sowohl die Medien als auch die Wirtschaft gegen uns. Also natürlich nicht so drastisch noch nicht, aber das Potenzial ist da. Bericht. Kizaru Kibana demands emergency to be called. The leader of the National Front Party has demanded an emergency be called to address the increasing political violence in the country. He stated that without a declaration of emergency, Sordland would be destabilized and the integrity of the country would be damaged even further. Ich glaube, so weit ist es noch nicht. Und Economic Relief Plan steht an. Ja, da brauchen wir nämlich schon wieder Budget. With the assistance of the National Business Council and the Central Bank, Simon Hall put forward a countrywide relief plan to mitigate the economic hardship that are being felt. We can either provide stimulus checks for people in need or bail out businesses under serious financial strain and decide not to approve the plan. Also wir haben ein Budget, wir werden das auch einsetzen dafür. Aber ich werde Option 1 wählen. Bailout Businesses passt nicht zur politischen Linie. Halte ich auch persönlich für falsch, aber naja, ein anderes Thema. Ich meine, wenn das eine Verstaatlichung beinhalten würde, würde ich das vielleicht machen, aber ich werde Stimulus-Checks ausgeben. Schreibt doch direkt die Nachrichten, schreiben drüber. Economist natürlich. Unemployment and checks. The administration has fallen for populism and the idea that giving people money will solve the problems of the economy overall. It is hard to grasp where these ideas come from, especially when long-term job growth and employment is what this country needs to secure in order to have a stable economy. What's the plan here? People will be able to pay their rents for a few months and then they will fall into the same unemployment trap due to a lack of job availability or security. The businesses can't carry all the weight of the declining economy on their own shoulders and employ people without help from the government. The administration needs to re-evaluate their way out of the recession with realistic methods. Ja, wollt ihr jetzt freie Marktwirtschaft oder nicht, Freunde? Da müsst ihr auch das Risiko tragen. Tut mir leid. Stimulus-Checks sind jetzt hier gelistet als politischer Akt. Wir haben noch eine Mitteilung in Dyer. Oh, das Begräbnis. Das könnte ja nochmal spannend werden jetzt. The death of Bernard Circas has shocked the country and his funeral will be held in Dyer among a large crowd of sympathizers. Circas was not only a communist poet but also an elected member of parliament that had a voice. A state funeral has been organized to honor him. The question is whether the president and the administration will attend the funeral or not. Selbstverständlich. Dark clouds were looming over there. They looked daunting as our convoy started approaching the century-old cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain, certainly fitting weather for a funeral. As expected, Bernard Circas's passing maintained its media traction, and all of Sordland was paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. Sir, we have arrived. Raindrops were running down the car window when Serge opened my door and held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes from the cameras blinded me. I will hold my own umbrella. As you wish, sir. He handed me the umbrella and started waiting next to the car with his own. Petter and Karl exited from their own cars in the convoy. They made their way over to me. Mr. President, I just wanted to inform you that the perimeter is clear and secured completely. There's no one getting in or out without our knowledge. Yeah, good work. Thank you, Karl. Karl bowed his head with respect. Good. If anything happens to Anton, you will have to answer to the First Lady. And trust me, Carl, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh, which drew some attention from bereaved attendees. Ja, das etwas unpassend. You're being inconsiderate. You're right, sorry. It started to rain. Several unintelligible voices were heard from Carl's radio. He stepped out to reply and returned shortly. We have a small problem, sir. A few, 5 to be exact, Red Youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently said they wish to pay their respect to their fallen comrade. 5 nur? Should we let them in? Put a few guards around them. Ja, gerade jetzt muss man sie reinlassen, oder? Stellen Sie ein Sicherheitsrisiko dar. No, they were thoroughly searched. It looks like they really are here to attend the funeral. Ja, lass sie rein. As you command. We walked towards the crowd circled around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing black and mourning. The rain started pouring heavily. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and above all, a cold, unforgiving sadness. Both of their eyes were very red and swollen from weeping. Before taking my place to observe the ceremony, I gave my condolences to Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked at me. She reminded me of Diana. When the religious ceremony was done, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't get the daughter's eyes out of my head. Today we are mourning Bernard Circas, a father, a husband, and a loyal servant of this country. Towards the back of the crowd I spotted the members of the Red Youth wearing red shirts and black bands of mourning on their arms. They seemed unruly and were respectfully bowing their heads. There was complete silence except for the sound of raindrops. So, wie geht die Rede weiter? As I disagree? Nein. Almost entirely auf jeden Fall nicht. We must end the cycle of violence. He was a true comrade. Ja, ist die Frage, ne? Sollen wir jetzt preisgeben, dass wir eher linksorientiert sind? Würde dem, also zum Charakter passt es ja, wie gesagt, war selber Mitglied der Roten Jugend. Aber er hat sich seither eigentlich nie so eindeutig positioniert. Er war ein Kamerad und kämpfte dafür, woran er glaubte. Seine ideale Vorstellung von Sordland. Ich meine, das kann man auch jetzt so ganz allgemein verstehen, ne? Muss jetzt gar nicht meinen, dass man ideologisch zustimmt. Wobei das andere natürlich auch stimmt. We must end the cycle of violence. Das ist sozusagen schwierig. Das ist so ein verwaltendes, sage ich mal, ne? Ein verwaltender Ansatz, so, ja. Man nutzt sozusagen die Beerdigung aus, um einen Appell an die Nation zu machen. Ich glaube, ich riskiere Option 4. Weil Comrade ist auch unklar, was das hier bedeutet. Kann auch einfach Freund bedeuten. Also wird es wahrscheinlich hier nicht, aber... staatstragend, würdest du sagen? Ja, aber ist das, also ist die Beerdigung selber sozusagen der richtige Ort, um das zu tun? Weiß ich nicht. Finde ich nicht. Ich gehe mit 4. Er hat für seine Ideale gekämpft. Wir werden sicherstellen, dass sowas nicht nochmal passiert. Er hatte den Traum von einem vereinigten Sordland. Das werden wir in den nächsten Monaten, den Traum werden wir in den nächsten Monaten erfüllen. Ich verstehe diesen Angriff als einen Angriff gegen Sordland. Und gegen mich persönlich. Bernhards Blut will not remain on the sacred ground of Sordland. Ja, 1 geht halt überhaupt nicht. Mit den ganzen Unruhen ist ja klar, dass die sich da gegenseitig die Köpfe einhauen. Da kann man nicht so ein Versprechen machen. Und das ist ja auch immer noch, kann man immer noch allgemein lesen, ne? Also, er wollte ein vereinigtes Sordland. Das sagt jetzt erstmal noch nicht, wie das aussehen soll politisch. Also, wir werden in den nächsten Monaten daran arbeiten, diese gegebene Krise zu überwinden, den Konflikt und ein geeinigtes Sordland herzustellen. Lass uns alle trauern. Hass führt zu Hass. We must unite against the evil of this world. The tears of the family he left behind have a price that needs to be paid. I will not stop until it is paid in full. Eins ist angemessen für eine Beerdigung, macht keine weiteren Aussagen auf einer politischen Ebene. There's only one way to overcome. We must unite against the evil of this world. Ist auch noch nicht gesagt, was das ist, ne? Aber das ist dann wieder dieser Appell, der sozusagen nach draußen geht. Und es ist im Grunde auch falsch, weil man damit sagt, links und rechts, jetzt habt euch nicht so, wir haben uns alle lieb, wir müssen zusammen als sordische Nation, müssen wir jetzt gegen die Welt stehen. Das ist ja auch Blödsinn. Und mit 3 macht man halt gleich eine Kampfansage. Dann wohl 1. Ich finde das auch also wie gesagt, halte ich für angemessener bei einer Beerdigung, die nicht politisch zu instrumentalisieren. Oh, wir können eines seiner Gedichte zitieren. Machen wir das mal. Unsere einzige Stärke ist der Wille zum Überleben. Im Wissen, dass wir vergehen werden. Im Wissen, dass es nichts Absoluteres gibt. Wir erheben uns in Richtung der Sonne. Die gestorben sind, sind kämpfend gestorben. Sie sind jetzt in der Sonne begraben. Wir müssen nicht trauern. There is a raid to the sun. Sie haben uns nicht unsere Lieder singen lassen. Sie haben Angst. Angst vor dem Morgengrauen. Sie haben Angst vor der Hoffnung. Aber unsere Lieder werden gesungen werden. Ja, 3 finde ich ganz cool. Only strength is the will to survive. Sagt halt überhaupt nichts aus. Irgendwie so. Wir werden uns zur Sonne erheben. Ja, 3, das passt ja auch so ein bisschen zu der generellen Situation und zur Geschichte auch irgendwie, ne? Also mit der Unterdrückung durch Sol und die anderen. Finde ich. Also die Songs, die Lieder können halt jetzt vieles sein. Die können sozusagen die Geschichte der niemals wirklich geeinten sordischen Republik sein. Das können jetzt irgendwie politisch-ideologische Visionen sein, wie die Welt sein soll. Und es richtet sich gegen die Konservativen. Sie haben Angst davor, was morgen ist. Ja. They did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope. But our songs will be sung. A moment of silence, please. All that was heard were the ravens. Some attendees started clapping, some crying. The coffin was lowered into the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple of minutes, Bernard Circas was with the soil, no more. Amognaves-Kurve. Wer hat das noch gesagt? Das hat der Fahrer gesagt. Was hieß das nochmal? Nein, nicht die Ministerin. Ach verdammt, ich hab's vergessen und es steht nicht im Kodex. Nein. Ist das nicht bei der History? Egal. Kann es gerade mal jemand googeln? Oder in einer Suchmaschine ihrer Wahl nachschauen? Das war doch irgendwas so, was Kommunistisches auch, oder? Oder irgendwas, dass der Kampf weitergeht oder irgend so. Victors is da. Morning will come. Victory is close. Ja, genau. Ja, aber das passt doch zu dem Zitat, was ich gerade vorgelesen habe. They are afraid of the dawn. Vielen Dank, Amentus. Sehr gut. Amognaves Kore. Everyone replied. Victors is da. Victory is close. With applause, I stepped down from the podium. It was time to leave. Ja, jetzt ist es doch irgendwie so ein bisschen pathetisch geworden, ne? Naja. The widow thanked me with a soft and defeated voice before we dispersed. On my way back to the car, I still couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Deanna, Monica and Frank look the same way if something happens to me? Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. I sensed only respect from his voice. Nicken. Come on, it's time to go. We have to go to work. He was right. We had work to do, so much more to do. I realized that the rain had stopped, and I looked up. The black clouds slowly dispersed, and sunbeams enlightened our surroundings. Yeah. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Weg dann ist da. Hope was still on the horizon.